The eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD is one of the most well-known disasters in history. It buried the prosperous Roman city of Pompeii and the nearby town of Herculaneum under 5 meters of ash and pumice. But what if we told you there was another city lost to history that had been wiped out by a cataclysmic event? A place where 18,000 people perished and whose existence was only discovered recently. This is the truly terrifying story of a secret city destroyed by nature's deadliest animal. Welcome back, everyone. Here today we are going to look at the recent discovery of a secret city that was utterly devastated by a supervolcano. This disaster claimed many lives and its effects were felt all over the world. But let's take it all the way back to the beginning. Yellowstone National Park is home to more than just magnificent wildlife and geysers. It also has the largest supervolcano on Earth. Now, while the name might make you think of the famous Yellowstone National Park, that's not what it's called. In fact, the supervolcano is known as the Yellowstone Caldera. It covers an area of 43 by 28 miles. To put this into perspective, that's roughly the size of Los Angeles. The volcano itself sits in the center of the caldera, and it's been responsible for some of the most devastating volcanic activity ever seen on Earth. The first eruption took place around 2 million years ago, and it created the Huckleberry Ridge eruption. This was a massive event that covered the surrounding areas with ash and lava flows. It released about 2,800 cubic kilometers of material during the eruption. However, after the first eruption, there was a period of calm before the next big explosion. That was until around 1.3 million years ago when the Mesa Falls eruption occurred. This was even bigger than the previous one. It spewed 5,000 cubic kilometers of ash and lava and covered parts of Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. For a while, things were quiet, but not for long. Around 640,000 years ago, the supervolcano erupted once again. This time, it unleashed 1,700 cubic kilometers of ash and rock. It was so powerful that it left a huge depression in the land. The depression was filled with water, and this eventually formed what is now known as Yellowstone Lake. There was a very long lull in activity after this event, a period of calm that lasted hundreds of thousands of years. But then something happened to wake the beast from its slumber once again. There was another smaller eruption that spewed 100 cubic kilometers of ash into the air. Then, about 128,000 years ago, there was yet another massive eruption. This was the Lava Creek eruption. It shot 1,000 cubic kilometers of ash and lava into the atmosphere, and it was this eruption that ultimately created the Yellowstone Caldera as we know it today. But in between these major eruptions, there have been hundreds of smaller events. And it's not just the large eruptions that have shaped the landscape. Smaller magma chambers have also been created as a result of the activity. One of these is called the Norris Geyser Basin Magma Chamber. It's about 20 kilometers beneath the surface, and scientists believe it may be responsible for some of the geothermal features found in the park, such as geysers and hot springs. Now, we haven't mentioned the impact these eruptions have had on humanity yet. While they certainly had an effect on the climate and the environment, they didn't seem to affect human settlements directly. But what would happen if there was a major eruption today? Well, let's imagine the worst-case scenario. What if the supervolcano erupted with the same force as the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens? To understand what this would mean, we need to take a look at how Mount St. Helens erupted. On May 18, 1980, at 8:32 am, a magnitude 5.1 earthquake struck Mount St. Helens in Washington state. It was the largest earthquake in the recorded history of the Pacific Northwest. The quake caused a rockslide on the north side of the mountain, creating a massive crater. Hot gas and steam escaped through the newly created opening, and this resulted in a lateral blast. The explosion was so powerful that it blew the top off the mountain and sent debris raining down over an area of 230 square miles. The blast was so strong it knocked trees down in every direction, and it caused damage as far away as Canada. Now, let's apply this to Yellowstone. If the supervolcano erupted with the same power as Mount St. Helens, the consequences would be catastrophic. Pyroclastic flows would race down the slopes of the volcano at speeds of up to 100 miles per hour. They would reach temperatures of up to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit and would travel up to 15 miles from the source. Entire forests would be incinerated in their path, and anything in their way would be turned to ash. But that's just the beginning. A lateral blast would also occur, and it would send ash and debris raining down over an area of about 12,000 square miles. The ash would contain glass particles called tephra, and these could cause serious respiratory problems. The air would become thick with smoke, and it would be difficult to breathe. In the days that followed, the ash would blanket entire cities, burying them under a thick layer of material. But the effects wouldn't stop there. The supervolcano is so massive that it could potentially affect the entire planet. Eruptions in the past have caused global temperatures to plummet by as much as 18 degrees Celsius. And that's why it's so important for scientists to monitor the activity closely. In the early days following the eruption, there would be widespread destruction and chaos. People would struggle to survive in the aftermath, and many would perish. But it wouldn't be long before the effects were felt all over the world. Global cooling would cause crop failures and mass extinctions. People would be forced to migrate in search of food and water. It would be a true test of the human spirit, and only the strongest would survive. If all that sounds terrifying, wait till you hear what happened to the ancient city of Minoan. Located on the Greek island of Crete, Minoan was a bustling metropolis during the Bronze Age. It was home to around 18,000 people who lived in relative peace and prosperity. The city was situated on the coast, and it had a strong economy based on trade. The people were skilled merchants, and they traded goods such as wine, olive oil, and textiles throughout the Mediterranean. They had a strong navy that allowed them to explore new lands and establish new trade routes. The Minoans were also great builders, and they constructed impressive palaces and temples throughout the city. These structures were often multi-story, and they featured advanced plumbing systems and artwork. But life in Minoan wasn't always peaceful. The city was located near the edge of the Mediterranean, and it was often targeted by pirates and other invaders. The Minoans were forced to build strong fortifications to protect themselves from attack. But despite these efforts, the city was sacked several times throughout history. In 1450 BC, the city was destroyed by a volcanic eruption. This was the largest eruption in the history of the Mediterranean, and it had a devastating impact on the surrounding area. The eruption caused massive earthquakes and tsunamis that destroyed entire villages. It also caused widespread famine and disease. Most historians believe that the eruption led to the downfall of the Minoan civilization. But what's really amazing is that the city was completely lost to history until it was rediscovered in the 19th century. Archaeologists have been excavating the site ever since, and they've made some incredible discoveries. They've uncovered palaces, temples, houses, and other structures that give us a glimpse into the daily life of the Minoans. They've also found artifacts such as pottery, jewelry, and weapons that shed light on the culture and traditions of the people. The eruption that destroyed Minoan was so powerful that it had a profound impact on the natural environment. The ash and debris from the volcano blocked out the sun and caused temperatures to plummet. This led to a period of global cooling known as the Bronze Age collapse. The eruption also caused massive changes to the local environment. The ash and debris covered the island of Crete and killed off much of the vegetation. The soil became infertile, and it was difficult for crops to grow. This led to widespread famine, and the people were forced to abandon their homes and flee to other islands. It's hard to imagine the kind of impact a supervolcano eruption would have on our modern world. The devastation would be unimaginable. But it's important to remember that such events have happened in the past, and life has a way of moving on. The Minoan civilization was able to thrive for centuries despite the challenges they faced, and we can learn from their resilience and adaptability. As we continue to study the history of our planet, we will undoubtedly uncover more secrets that will help us better understand the forces that shape our world. Who knows what other lost cities or civilizations we will find? The truth is that our world is full of mysteries, and there is still so much that we don't know. But one thing is for sure, The story of humanity is full of ups and downs, and we can learn from the mistakes of the past to create a better future. What do you think? Is there anything we missed? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. Until next time.